Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today it is time for the yearly roundup. I have watched and evaluated a lot of 4Ks, so I'm going to bring you the top 24 4Ks of 2024. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so the best 24 for 24. We are going with the top 24 4K releases of the year. And a couple of caveats here. You will not find anything that was shot digitally on this list. There is nothing against those. I do those lists separately because honestly, there's no reason for those not to look perfect. So it's pointless to do, really, because if they're shot in 4K digital or above, and then they're transferred digitally and put onto a digital disc in a 4K space, there's no reason for them not to look great. They never had to change formats. They never did any of that stuff. They never had to be restored. I mean, it's just like making a copy of, so it's like having a video on your computer, burning it to one Blu-ray and then burning it to another Blu-ray. And so it should look the same. It should look good no matter what. So there's no process. So those don't register with me. Those should always look great. I do separate digital rankings lists. Now, people can screw them up the way they shoot it and stuff like that. That's a different story. But so you won't find those on my list. Also, I have not gotten my copy of The Searchers. I have not gotten in Legends of the Fall, and I am still waiting on Neverending Story, so I could not evaluate those. That's not, there's nothing I can do about it. They didn't get them to me. I can't evaluate them. I ordered them a while back. I'm still waiting, so I don't have those yet. And one other one that I want to mention that I'm not putting on this list because it's held hostage in a Columbia Classics list case is Starman. Starman would most definitely be on this list if you could buy it individually, but you cannot. So I didn't put that on the list because I don't think that's fair. So, but it deserves an honorable mention. Now that all that is out of the way, we are not going to waste any time. I'm not going over a bunch of technical specs on this. I do individual reviews for that. If I go over something I haven't done an individual review on, shoot me a comment down below and maybe I'll do an individual 4K review on that and go in depth. But these are the top 24 of 24. So here we go. Starting at number 24 is Congo. Now this one is a recent release. This was a big film when it came out. They expected it to be bigger than it was on the hills of Jurassic Park and stuff like that. But this 4K looks great. Of course, the great Vinegar Syndrome VSU packaging, is nice, big, chunky box, magnetic clasp, all that good stuff. It shouldn't look as good as it does, but it does. Vinegar Syndrome just does great work doing restorations, and they really did a great job with Congo. I love that they will tell you if they find imperfections that they just can't fix. A lot of people don't even see them when they say that. I did catch it a little bit. There's just little white like hairlines when they're diving out of the airplane, but it's nothing that most people are going to catch. It just looks so good. Congo comes in at number 24. At number 23 on the list is one that I just got. I evaluated. I actually watched it again this morning, and I've heard some people say that they don't think this one's good. I completely disagree. Could it be better? Yes, but that's why it's down here. I am talking about Far and Away by Scream Factory, Shout Studios. This thing looks really good. It's right up there with, it's a period piece, so it looks like a Western. And if I'm not mistaken, part of this was shot in like VistaVision. So it has some sweeping landscapes. It's beautiful. I think some people might mistake they think that there's like a loss of clarity or something. And a lot of it is they're using aerosol, like cinematic smoke to like diffuse the light. So you get this very diffused look in some scenes. And you know that's what's happening because sometimes they're inside a bedroom and you see it happening. And it's so that you see that sort of smoky look. Even when there's no smoke, it just diffuses the light when you see the light beams coming through. That happens a lot in the video. That's they're using that for cinematic choice. And I think if you're not paying real close attention to that, it can make some things look like they're maybe not focused as well, things like that. Now, this was taken from the 35 millimeter inner positive. So could it look better if they'd had the negative? Absolutely. Most likely, for sure. But you know, that's why it's down here instead of up higher on the list. But this one looks great overall. This is a good movie, very underrated, and a lot of fun. Especially you see these, it's like a Western at the end with the Oklahoma land race, all that kind of stuff. I definitely recommend checking out Far and Away. Comes in at number 23 on my list. At number 22 on my list is one that nobody's talking about, and I think this was a first-time release in 4K this year. I've tried to keep re-releases off this list as well. I did a whole video of the best re-released 4Ks. But as far as I know, this was the original release of this on 4K by Criterion, David Lynch's Blue Velvet. This got me going down my David Lynch road, and this thing looks beautiful. First of all, he's a hell of a filmmaker. Maybe strange and different, but a hell of a filmmaker. And I just think visually this thing looks amazing. The colors, he's very specific with colors and shots and things like that. And the 4K just brings that out. And of course, you know, it's almost 40 years old. It's like from 1986. So for it to sit around and to get this 4K for this, outstanding. I don't hear anyone talk about it. This was a gift from a channel member, Tyler, and man, thank you for sending me down this road. You got to be in the right mindset for Lynch, but you don't have to be to enjoy this 4K. It is absolutely great. No one's talking about it. I'm going to have a list coming soon of 10 forgotten 4Ks that are just great 4Ks from 2024 that nobody's talking about. And this one could have been on this list, but I think it deserved to be on the overall list. So Blue Velvet comes in at number 22. At number 21 is one I've talked about a couple of times. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night. This is a big 3-disc set that they gave. They gave the unrated version. They gave the theatrical version. They put the stuff in there, the bad elements, just to show you on Blu-ray. But the 4K itself, the restoration here, things pop. You can see those cool-ass toys in the toy store from the 80s very nicely in the background. Just a well-done 4K. Really, Scream Factory and Shout Studios don't miss very much on their 4Ks, like if ever. But this one is really good. So much fun rediscovering this after so many years on this 4K, and high recommend of Silent Night, Deadly Night on 4K. It comes in at number 21. At number 20 on our list, we're going back to Vinegar Syndrome, sort of. This is the Cinematograph line, and it is Little Darlings. This is a movie that a lot of people didn't know. I did because I grew up in the 80s. We had TBS. This showed a lot on TBS back in the day, and this is a great release. It looks really good. The movie is really good. It'll take you by surprise if you haven't seen it. It's a coming-of-age story that probably couldn't get made now, but definitely cool. Different artwork. I like the artwork. It's an interesting choice, the face covering, but art is subjective. So, I mean, I kind of dig the weirdness a little bit, but sometimes I look at it and I really like it. Sometimes I don't, but that's beside the point. The 4K is really, really good. High recommend. I was all in on the Cinematograph line, but after this one, it's kind of up and down for me, but this one is absolutely outstanding. High recommend. Little Darlings just looks fantastic on 4K. Staying with Vinegar Syndrome. This was a blind buy for me. I had never seen this movie. This is a Walter Hill film, a VSU release, Southern Comfort. Digging into research of this has very much like Wicker Man vibes in some ways. This movie turns definitely almost like folk horror, action. it's got a little bit of everything. It's got a great cast in, and of course, Walter Hill directed, 48 Hours, Crossroad. Walter Hill done a lot of stuff, The Warriors. This thing is really good, and they shot in horrible conditions. They really shot out in the woods. They shot in the swamp. This film sat around for a long time. Vinegar Syndrome picked it up and laid out an outstanding 4K. Can't have a list this year, as far as I'm concerned, without Southern Comfort on it. It comes in at number 19. At number 18, we're heading over to Kino Lorber, and though they don't really do the 4K restorations themselves in-house, this one is outstanding. Crybaby. John Waters film, Johnny Depp, kind of a musical, kind of that weird John Waters stuff. I dig this one. If you've never really watched John Waters stuff, this is probably the one to start with. I wouldn't start with Pink Flamingos or something like that. But this one has never looked better than this right here. I can't imagine it looking any better than this. Just a really outstanding 4K. One of the first ones I really started watching this year with my whole new setup, and just blown away. And got a little surprise about that setup here coming soon on a little video. But man, this one was just outstanding. High recommend. Kino Lorber did a great job with this. Like I said, this is from the 35mm original negative. Most of the time, you're going to get your best 4Ks if they can get that original negative and it's in good shape. That's the case here. That film stock just does stuff that digital never can. Crybaby comes in at number 18. At number 17, we have a James Cameron release, and this one I doubt will cause too much controversy. The Abyss. It looks great. I actually think that there's a lot of misinformed dislike of James Cameron's stuff out there, and I've talked about that with True Lies where that's concerned. This one shouldn't be controversial in any way. It looks fantastic, and I mean, it's a studio release, and James Cameron is involved here too, as far as I know, and it just looks good, man. It just looks good. I mean, there are some movies that you pop in, you're like, holy crap, it looks good. Other movies, it's like, it looks better than the others. This is one of those that you pop in and you're like, hey, that looks really, really good. The Abyss has to be on anybody's list of best 4Ks of 2024. It comes in for me here at number 17. At number 16 on the list, it's time for Second Sight to get in on the action with one that we'd been waiting for, been promised for a long time, and it looks damn good. It delivered. The Hitcher. Of course, I got the big chunky box set. This thing is a big set at a pretty good price point for something this big with this much work that went into it. And Rutger Hauer in this, C. Thomas Howell. It's got some iconic moments in this movie. But this thing looks as good as it could possibly look. This release, all that factors into it. The care, the love, the packaging, just absolutely awesome. If you guys want a full review of this, I can do a full review of this. I haven't done it yet. I haven't seen a ton of those out there. So if you want me to dig into it, but I can promise you it is one of the top 24 of 2024. Second Sight, killing it with this one. The Hitcher comes in at number 16 on my list. Running out of space over there. At number 15 on my list is a Paramount Presents that was actually a first-time watch for me this year when we got it. Me and Risha actually watched this, and it is just, while the movie is a little slow for me, it is visually stunning on this 4K. And the acting is just phenomenal. In Chinatown. This thing just, I mean, you sit there and you're like, it's like a painting from like the 60s or something. And of course, the movie is set in like the 1930s, I think it is. But man, this is the 50th anniversary edition of this, and Paramount Presents just absolutely killed it with this one. Jack Nicholson in one of his, iconic performances. And I believe this release also comes with the two Jakes in here as well. Just a fun, I'm trying to remember if this one came from I promised I wasn't going to get too heavy into technical But this one, I would say, probably was from the camera negative because it just looks so damn good. But he is, Private Eye, noir classic. I highly recommend. It's not one that I'm probably going to watch all the time because for me it is a little bit slower paced, and I like a slow burn. But there were times where I felt like it could get on with it a little bit. Man, it's just so visually stunning, and it is absolute classic work of art. Chinatown comes in at number 15. At number 14 on the list is another recent Vinegar Syndrome release. It had to be on here. This one hit me with so much nostalgia, like me and my brother back in the day going in, early 80s video rental stores, seeing the poster. This is a little bit different than this cover art, but I am talking about Michael Mann's The Keep. A lot of people are like, oh, nobody ever heard of The Keep. I'd heard of The Keep. Maybe I'm just old. But this 4K release is awesome. Now, there are parts of this that they can't control that kind of pushed it down the list a little bit. I mean, it has some audio problems. That's from the source. And people, I've had people say, well, if they were better at doing X, Y, and Z, the audio could be better. Man, there's only so much you can do with audio elements or visual elements if it is not inherently there in the source material. Like, if I have to use this camera audio, it only is going to record at a certain level. It's only going to be able to record at a certain depth. And then there's only so much you can do to fix it or to improve it. So it's not like I did the whole video explaining encodes and editing and all that kind of stuff. You guys can check that out. There's not magic happening behind the scenes. There's a certain amount, but you are limited. And they did all they could with The Keep. I had a couple little problems. I don't know if it's just my player, but it happened on two different players. Watching it back in Dolby Vision, so that kind of bumped it down just a little bit for me. But this thing should not look this good. The restoration, the visual restoration on this is outstanding. The movie, I wish we had the whole. You can see that there is that this is parts of a whole. We wish we had the long full cut that is supposed to exist out there, but what we have here looks amazing, and The Keep comes in at number 14 on my list. At number 13 on my list is one that's gotten a little controversy in the community. I'm just going to leave it there. But I actually think it is really good 4K here. Now, I only had the DVD. I hate that Arrow makes you pick between DVD and Blu-ray, but this is one of my favorite Stallone movies ever, and it's Demolition Man by Arrow. I think it looks great. Of course, I didn't have the Blu-ray to compare it to. Your system makes a difference, all that kind of stuff. If you're happy with the Blu-ray, stick with the Blu-ray. Maybe get the new Arrow Blu-ray because it's a different scan if you want to. But I think it looks really great, and just for it to get the chunky box treatment is just awesome to me. I did not like this artwork at all. I like the back here. Of course, I like the original. But for it to get this treatment, I was super happy because this is just one of my favorite Stallone films ever, and to see it all come back, and get this big kind of prestigious treatment, just absolutely love it. But Demolition Man, I think it's a fantastic release. It comes in at number 13. Kind of appropriate that it's at 13. All right. Coming in at number 12 on my list is Nightmare on Elm Street. Man, I've talked about it at length. This is the first horror movie I ever remember seeing. Me and my brother rented it when I was like 6, when it hit the movie rental stores, the old mom and pop places back in the day. He was like 10, and we watched this, and it scared the ever-living crap out of me. I did a full review of this. I think we see this movie for the first time ever in 4K the way that Wes Craven and the cinematographer, the way that they intended it to be seen. I almost think the blue light in that, which cinematically, blue nighttime moonlight goes together, but I think in this, if you really go back and see it now that we've gained all that detail and that blue is there and they're not pushing magenta the way they used to for CRT TVs and VHS releases and old DVD releases, I think we are finally seeing that blue light was like a dream state. That was almost like Freddy's calling card. Go check out that review. I go way in depth with it. This thing is friggin' awesome. I'm glad to have it. It looks like we're going to get them all coming. Maybe we're going to get a whole box with this one getting re-released. Who knows? But happy to have it, and was just super psyched to see this come out this year, and it is a great release. Nightmare on Elm Street comes in at number 12. At number 11 on my list is another horror icon, and this thing looks so good. There are people out there that thought it was shot in digital because it looks so crisp, so clean, so good. I'm talking about Friday the 13th, 2009 by Arrow. This is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. It just is. I love it. I think the first 20 minutes could stand alone as a great Friday the 13th movie. I feel like it's a direct sequel to the first two films with maybe the third one in there. But the cinematography in this is beautiful. The nighttime scenes, the way they're lit, it just comes across in 4K. And like I said, some people actually, because it's so crisp, so clear, so beautiful, some people just naturally imagined it was shot in digital. And I mean, I can understand making that mistake, if you don't look it up and you didn't know, because it looks that damn good. It looks that good. I love the release. This artwork, I love this artwork. It is incredible. I wish it had gotten a chunky box release. It looks like we might get some more Friday the 13th movies from Arrow. It would have been cool to got them all lined up in a chunky box or do one big release. But man, this is definitely one of the best of the year. And super psyched to have this one. This one looks absolutely great. Friday the 13th, 2009 comes in at number 11. And now we have reached the top 10 of the year. Man, this is hard. You're splitting hairs at this one. And number 10, I'm actually proud of this company because they're a smaller boutique that's up and coming. They still have to do like sometimes Indiegogos or Kickstarters, things like that in order to get some restorations done. So seeing a movie like this come to 4K for them and look this good is insane. I'm talking about American Pie by 88 Films, firmly deserving its place in the top 10 for the year. Brian, I think my buddy Brian over at The Last Movie Standing, he probably did the definitive review of this. I mean, I can always review it if you want me to, but this release is great. I think he correctly described it as turning the lights on this. It's brighter, it's clearer, it's crisper, all of that stuff. And to see this big, cool, like kind of a Arrow chunky box style release for a movie like this. Like I had just graduated high school. I think when this came out, I was like 19 or 20 when this came out. So I was like right there with them on age. This movie, this One Time at Band Camp has become part of the lexicon. If you follow me, I worked on American Reunion for like 17 days. I had a line in the movie that got cut out. I'm in a bunch of scenes. I worked on it. It was like 17 days. And I met a bunch of people to help me get started making some of my own movies. So American Pie holds a special place for me, the series. And this is a great release. 88 Films killed it on this one, y'all. Killed it. So it comes in American Pie at number 10. It hurts me that I can't evaluate like Never Ending Story because I've heard so many great things about it. Legends of the Fall, it's one of my favorites. And like I just heard my man Ken over at Mid-Level Media talking about The Searchers. That's actually one of my grandmother's favorite John Wayne movies. I can't wait to get that and look at it. I'm sure those are great. The way that like they were talking about those, Brian did the Never Ending Story. It looks phenomenal. Ken talking about The Searchers, it looked great. I've heard people talking about some of these others, so just can't evaluate what I don't have. So just remember that as we continue into our top 10 here. At number 9 on the list, and this was divisive. I did a full review on this. Some people are just mad at James Cameron, and they let that override. Let their feelings override the facts. But the Terminator is one of the top 10 releases of the year. It just is. I did an in-depth review. You talk about looking like it turned the lights on something. This thing, like when you look at the side-by-side footage that I did, and that was even before I got the OLED. It was on my QLED TV. This thing it's that good, and this is an iconic film. Now it's not higher because it is bare bones. Like you got this steelbook or you got the slipcover release, and it's just a single disc. It is. There's nothing. Like, I mean, there's hardly any feature. I got way more features on my old DVD of this. So the fact that it is just bare bones, and I'm not, when it comes to studios, I'm not as forgiving about lack of special features because they've got the money and they've got access to whomever. So they just don't do it because they don't want to do it. And it just feels like they're going to do another loaded release down the line. I don't like that. So I like the steelbook. It looks cool. But the film itself, absolutely just incredible. The scenes where he's in the club hunting Sarah Connor, it looks so good, y'all. And I don't care what you say. I don't care if you like Cameron. You don't have to like Cameron. This is one of the top 10 4Ks of the year. The Terminator comes in at number 9. At number 8 on my list was a blind buy for me this year, and boy, am I glad that I did. I love this movie because Weird Science is my favorite John Hughes movie, and Brian was right. This is like a horror version of Weird Science. I'm talking about Trick or Treat. I love it. It's got the Arrow Chunky Box style release here. You got the soundtrack with it. This is Synapse and new startup Red Shirt Pictures, and they just knocked it out of the park. The scene where Sammy Kerr is brought back to life is literally the Lisa coming to life scene from Weird Science. 100%, that's what it is. And it looks so good. That scene in particular, if you watch no other scene to know how damn good this 4K is, that's the scene. That scene, and then the scene in the car with the girl is that one's worth the price of admission. But Trick or Treat, I had so much fun with it, and this is going to be a lot of rewatchability for me. So Trick or Treat, absolutely banging release here, coming in at number 8 on the list. At number 7. This might as well have been a blind buy for me, a first-time watch, because I had seen it like so long ago. I really only remembered tiny bits and pieces, almost like I had just seen a trailer of something. But diving into Brian De Palma, this might be my favorite of his. I'm still going on my De Palma journey, so we'll get to it soon. But Body Double, insane 4K. I mean, this thing is crazy. First of all, I love the movie. I had like a love-hate relationship when I started watching it, and the more I've watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it, I just absolutely like it more and more each time. But it is very 80s, man. It is dripping with 80s. It's sexy. It's a little dirty. It's a little raunchy. It's got Hitchcock, flavor all in it with Hitchcock, with dolly zooms and Dutch angles and all that De Palma style in there. And of course, Melanie Griffith, you've got a movie making within a movie. Dude, actually, maybe the weakest point for me is the lead actor in it, but everything about it is so good, you're almost not paying it that much of attention. But I absolutely loved it, and this 4K is incredible. If you do not have this, high recommend on Body Double. We'll do more De Palma here soon, but absolutely love this 4K. Body Double coming in at number 7. At number 6 on my list, Criterion is back again with what I said from the moment that I saw it was probably going to be one of the 4Ks of the year. That hasn't changed. It is absolutely incredible. I'm talking about Risky Business. y'all, the scene, like I've talked about it before with Rebecca De Mornay, where they're about to have sex or whatever, and she's nude the first. She's like, it looks like somebody inserted a 6K digitally created like angel, like it's like a dream sequency type thing. It looks so good. This whole thing looks so good. In the movie, very 80s, very just has all of that. There's parts of this that really feel like, you know, I want to say a John Hughes movie, but it's not. It's Paul Brickman, but there, it, of course, has the iconic part with him sliding in there, singing in his sock feet and all that kind of stuff that's here on the cover. But there is. It's almost like a raunchier version of a John Hughes movie to me a little bit. But this 4K, and then of course you have the synth score in here by Tangerine Dream. They kind of were in and out on some big stuff in the 80s, but this 4K is incredible. You cannot go wrong. One thing I love about Criterion, that I love about Vinegar Syndrome, that I love about Scream Factory is they're almost always going to give you the Blu-ray with it. So, if you're on the fence, just remember when you purchase this, you're going to get the 4K and the Blu-ray. Worth it, man. Absolutely worth it, especially when it's on sale. Cannot recommend this one enough. A piece of 80s iconic culture. You got to have it. Risky Business, incredible 4K, comes in at number 6. At number 5 on my list is one that's going to be divisive for you guys. I did a full review of this. Doesn't matter how you feel about the movie. The director's cut of this movie changed everything about this movie for me, but this 4K is lights out. I am talking about The Wolfman, Benicio del Toro. We got the unrated, extended director's cut on 4K here, and y'all, it looks fantastic. I mean, that's like an overused word at this point. It's incredible. It is incredible. Like the cinematography in this, there's so much at nighttime. There's so much moodiness. There's the old streets of London shots and moon shots. And I wish there was a little less CGI. They use it to help the transformation of the werewolves, but then they'll go to full like makeup on werewolves. And when they go to the full makeup version of werewolves, I love how the werewolves look when it's just the full makeup version. I love that you can still see the people in there, but it is full on wolf. They pack this with some good extra features. There's all kinds of stuff in here. This is a 3-disc set. This 4K is great. And I did not like this movie at the movie theater. I hadn't seen it since then because I didn't like it. I took the chance on it because the extended director's cut on 4K, I am glad I did. Those extra 20 minutes, way more character development, way more story, way more everything. I really recommend this movie. It was actually set up. There could be a sequel to this. But man, I thought it was great. It's a great looking 4K. The Wolfman comes in at number 5. At number 4 on my list, from here on out, these are like reference quality discs. And this one is one of the best that I've ever seen. If you want to set the color on your TV, check the dynamic range, all that stuff, you use Matinee. I've talked about this one before. Because of when it's set right around the Cuban Missile Crisis, you have all these bright, vibrant colors from that time period that we think of with all the bright, vibrant colors. They're in a movie theater a lot. It's about movie theaters, movie making, all that kind of stuff, horror filmmaking. But there are scenes where they're in a beautiful red, bright, primary color movie theater, and there's a black and white movie showing on the screen that you see through all that. So to achieve just beautiful colors and incredible dynamic range, when you have all of that going on in one shot, man, that's an incredible. First of all, cinematography is incredible. Second of all, the restoration of this is incredible. And it was done from the original camera negative and approved by Joe Dante. Joe Dante, I love. This thing it is absolute reference quality. Period. The end. It's a fun movie, a great John Goodman performance in here. And just this poster is iconic. I wish I still had this poster. I had it years ago. Absolutely love this movie. If you haven't seen it or you've been holding out, do not hold out any longer. Get this movie. it is worth it. It is fun. It is absolute reference quality, pristine restoration. Absolutely perfect is Matinee, and it comes in at number 4. At number 3 on my list, how do they outdo that? Well, Scream Factory, I mean, maybe we're splitting hairs, but I'm going to go with Killer Clowns at number 3. Y'all, this thing, because you have the circus, first of all, like, I mean, maybe the packaging helps boost it up a little bit, because I think this steelbook is awesome. So you got to find things to kind of put over. But a cult classic movie, Killer Clowns. I mean, this is one that if you want to show off color on your 4K system, you can put in Killer Clowns. And it's just a lot of fun, campy, iconic. There is absolutely nothing that you can ding this 4K for. None of these in the top 4. You can't. This thing is absolutely phenomenal, and just a shitload of fun is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. A good little gateway horror if you want to introduce, your tweens or whatever to horror, or get somebody into horror and just want to laugh, camp, have a good time. Killer Clowns, just a beautiful, beautiful 4K, comes in at number 3 on the list. I had a very hard time with the top 4, really splitting them apart. But with the top 2, it was damn near impossible. I almost just want to say it's 1 and 1A. But coming in at number 2 on the list is one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen Arrow do. That's Trick or Treat. Yes, you could say he's biased because it's like one of his favorite horror movies of all time. I've never experienced a movie that was done so powerfully in the restoration, the color grade, all that kind of stuff, that it caused my TV to clip in color. Like in that, around the scene, the werewolf scene, with the fire and everything, it was causing clipping in the color because it had so much range that the TV could not handle it. That is when you reach another level in 4K restoration. And it is loaded. It's got all kinds of special features. One thing, I was splitting hairs between it and number 1. So it was the packaging. While I really like the new artwork, and I like that they gave us an opportunity, and actually the more I look at this, the more I like it. They gave us the opportunity to get different artwork. I felt like it should have had a chunky box. I felt like it could have been a multi-disc set. We just got a single disc. But I feel like they could have maybe done a little more. But overall, the 4K itself, the restoration, just absolutely. And it was approved by the director. And it's a brand new 4K restoration by Arrow. It shows. It is Dolby Vision, all of it. You better be on your toes with your setup, and you better know how to calibrate your TV and all that stuff to handle it, because the 4K is overpowering. It's so damn good. Trick or Treat, an absolute fun movie and must watch every Halloween, comes in at number 2. And number 1 gets the edge because it's got a chunky box and because the film elements were so much older and they were shot in such hard condition. I've seen this movie countless times in my life. I have never seen it like this. It should not be able to look this good. It does. I'm talking about Conan. One of the earliest releases of 2024, and it's the best. I feel like it splits hairs over Trick or Treat. This may be the best they've ever done. This one, I mean, it's so hard to split them apart, but when you factor in how old the elements were for this, and it got a chunky box and all that stuff, and people have seen this movie so many times so they can really compare it, you got to go with Conan. Now, both of these look great. I could really count them as one release, Conan and Conan the Destroyer. But the Barbarian, absolute classic. I mean, you can't get more features than they loaded this down with. That adds to it, y'all. There's not a lot I can say. This is absolutely one of the most incredible restorations I've ever seen for a movie that's about 40 years old or more. That I've seen so many times. For you to see something, because I'm a huge Arnold fan, I've seen this movie. I grew up with this movie. I've literally seen this movie more times than you can count. And to put it in and feel like I'm watching something I have never seen because it's that damn good is crazy. I mean, maybe I'm overselling it where we all get hyped up. They don't give me anything. But you know, I get carried away. I get excited too. But, you know, you don't have to take my word for it. You can get it. You can not get it. It's the best from an objective evaluation standpoint. And when you take in everything, the elements, the age, where they shot it, the elements they had to shoot it in, and then the extra features, the packaging, everything about it. Conan wins the year for me. It is absolutely the number one. And that is my list. Of course, nothing shot digitally. That's different. Those should look good. Of course, I didn't have those others to evaluate. I'm sure they look great too. But I look forward to a whole full year of this with you guys. I absolutely have had a blast. Let me know if any of these made your list. What's on your list of great 4Ks for this year that were shot on film, shot on digital? Just talk about it down there. It's a lot of fun. If you enjoyed this, we do all kinds of things like this here: lists, rankings, physical media news, 4K reviews, all that stuff from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. If that's something that you are, you know, enjoying and you enjoyed watching this and you made it this far, the like, subscribe, ring that bell. I keep hearing a lot of people saying, I didn't know you had a video came up today. YouTube didn't tell me. Make them tell you. Ring that bell. And if you want to help support the channel, you can join at my Patreon link below or right here on YouTube. Channel members get their name in lights. They get special access videos, looks at my filmmaking, so much more. And it really does help out the channel. Same thing. I'll try to do the Amazon links to all of these. Anything you buy when you use those links helps out the channel, y'all, and I really do appreciate it. On to a great 2025 and beyond. Absolutely having a great time. I wish you all a blessed new year, great things in 2025. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.